Tonight's openings begin with Firehouse Brown Ale from Lake of the Woods Brewing in Kenora, Ontario and Winnipeg. They describe it as a malt-forward pub-style brown ale with classic English hop profiles. Other than that, not too much for tasting notes. Very nice indeed. So the first thing in today just says audio connectors. Hey, you wait your turn. This is a bunch of XLR connectors. Okay. These are the style that's soldered directly onto a circuit board and then chassis mount, although I suppose you could solder wires onto them too, but they're intended for going directly onto a circuit board. And I had a few of those, used a couple of them, used one of them to repair a light a while ago. Put a link to that video up there. But other than that, they are mostly just for restoring stock. These ones are the plastic bodied ones, not the metal bodied ones like I got in a previous mailbag, but these will do the job just fine. 3-pin XLR, male-female power connector. They're not, well, you could use them, I suppose, for power, but straight socket panel mounting, chassis, etc., etc. Mic, microphone, audio cable. Yeah, that's what they're generally used for, is microphone, but I mean, it's a connector. You can use it for whatever you want. I paid $4.89 for 5 pairs of them, plus a revolting amount of shipping, although I probably combined this shipping with something else, which is usually what you need to do on AliExpress these days in order to get a deal. Not too much to say down here. There's the dimensions, 3 pins. They are black, just like that. And again, these are the ones with the solder pins on the back for through-hole circuit board, not the ones with the solder cups on them that are better for soldering wires onto. Next thing in is something from my P.O. box. Doesn't really say what it is, but it looks like they ordered it from eBay. Oh, it does say. It says speaker parts, which I don't think it was the last time I got something that said speaker parts. And of course it's a bag in a bag. So, what are you really? Wow. Oh, it is more capacitors. This time they are 1 microfarad 50 volt. I think the last batch were 10 microfarad. So those will be useful for adding to my collection. It's always good to have spare parts lying around. You never know when you're going to need them. And those are currently selling on eBay for, $2.99 and up for 10 pieces. So I'll put this search link down below, sorted price plus shipping lowest first, as usual, and yeah, see what you can find. All right, next thing in. Feels like there's more than one thing in this package, so this mailbag could get even bigger. Yeah, it looks like we got 2 different things in here. This first thing is a 2-in-1 guitar pick and tuner. Well, that's a fun item. I think I probably just added that on just for amusement. Looks like it's got a battery in there because there's a battery protector. Push the button. Oh yeah, there we go. Just push the little button on the back. And it's not flickering to my eye. It is fairly solid, so that's just the multiplexing. But I don't have a note here. Let me just try something. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but yeah, it sees that as an E, and if I fret it up, yeah, it sees that as an F, it sees that as a G. Okay. What happens when I sharpen it? Okay, so it shows it as an A sharp, and it shows it's a little flat of an A sharp. There's an A sharp. Okay. Wow, that actually works. It's a little weird and gimmicky, but it actually does work. Cool. I wonder how much I paid for that little guy. 2-in-1 guitar picks, tuner, tuning for acoustic, electric guitar, bass, mandolin, musical instruments, accessories, guitar tuner. Currently going for $7.10, which is close to what I paid for it. Free shipping if you buy more than $10, which is probably what most people are going to do. And it actually works. It's a little hard to read. The display is not all that awesome. just basic description down here. 2-in-1 functionality, real-time pitch monitoring, visual pitch indicator. Yeah, it's got 5 LEDs to indicate if you're sharp, flat, or on pitch. Okay. Ergonomic anti-slip design. Yeah, it's a little bit slippery plastic, but it does have a couple of divots for you to put your fingers on. Although they're not where I would put my fingers on a pick when I'm playing, but everybody plays a little bit differently. And apparently it will do any instrument, so any note, not just the standard guitar notes like some tuners do. It's made out of metal and ABS, although I don't see any metal on it except for maybe the battery, I suppose. Anyway, there you go. Neat thing. A little bit gimmicky, maybe a little bit overpriced. Who knows? But oh yeah, there's somebody else selling it for $4.79, or they may have shipping on it though. So, and the second thing in that package, it says it's an induction heating board. Runs on between DC 5 and 20 volts, 120 watts. Oh wow! If this is what I think it is, and if it is what it claims it is, a little damaged in shipping is what it is, then that could be a really neat thing. So there is the coil of insulated wire. This is, I think, the input, and this is the output over here. So this coil mounts there, and you put your 5 to 12 volts in here. And theoretically, any piece of ferrous metal that goes into there gets really, really hot really, really quickly. Now, I am going to assume that this one is not as powerful as the big professional ones that I see blacksmiths using and knife makers using and people like that. But I'm not one of those, so I will play with this in a future video. There's not too much going on the board. We have a couple of capacitors there, a couple of inductors there, a couple of, looks like, driver transistors there, diode, a couple of resistors and LEDs. Huh. So is it just flip-flopping to create high frequency and then boosting it up? I don't know. I'll have to play with this in the future and see. 120 watt mini ZVS heating machine, DC 5 to 12 volts input voltage, induction heater, high frequency power supply module. And I only paid less than $15 for it with free shipping. So if this does what it says it does, that could be a hell of a deal. So the full 120 watts is when they're using 12 volts. Okay. It heats objects effectively and efficiently, making it an ideal choice for various heating applications. So it says it doesn't have any high voltage packaging, I guess enclosure, or heat dissipation or fan or anything like that. So you probably don't want to run it for very long. I know the professional ones, the larger ones, the heating coil is actually a tube that, well, the electrical current is running through it, and it's creating an induced magnetic field inside there to heat up whatever object you're heating. The tube has a coolant running through it to keep this thing from melting down. So I'll probably have to run this thing in short bursts when I use it. But anyway, that should be fun to play with. Okay, I'm a bit impatient. I can't resist playing with this thing. So I've got my power supply set to about 10.5 volts. If I turn it on, ooh, it's drawing it down to 3 volts. Okay. What happens if I put that in there? So it is current limiting. Let's just set it up to 12 volts, but it's still current limiting at 3 amps. Let's see if this nail gets hot. That's below what it claims to be, so it wants a lot of current. Shut that off, and it did get a little warm on there. That didn't get warm, but the inductors or something on there got warm. Okay. Well, maybe there is hope for this thing after all. Anyway, the next thing. And the next thing is something that came to my P.O. box. This was sent by Neil from Quebec, It's very well packaged and it's marked as fragile, so we shall have to see what Neil sent me here. Let me just carve into this a little bit. Is it? No, it's not a power supply. He's just removed that box, so digging further. Some little princess stickers. Nice. And what is the main event in here? Oh, it's a barcode scanner. This is a Motorola branded USB barcode scanner. Oh, right. I remember a comment on the video that I did on the salvaged barcode scanner that I got. Hang on for a second. Yeah, the video that I did on this barcode scanner. I'll put a link to that up there just to refresh everybody's memory. But I remember there was a comment saying, "Hey, I've got an old one that might work better. Let me send it to you." So if that is in fact what happened, thank you very much, Neil, from someplace in Quebec, which I won't dox you any further than that. I will have to experiment with this one and see if I can get it working any better than this one. I was able to sort of get this thing working just from the command line of Linux, but I'm guessing that this one might just emulate a keyboard, which is what I thought this one was going to do, and dump its data out directly. Plug it into the computer, and oh, it makes noise. That's nice. There it is there. Okay. So what happens if I scan a barcode? Hey, that does exactly what I would want it to do. Excellent. Where's another barcode on something? How come I don't have any barcodes kicking around here? It's because I don't buy very much stuff at retail. Oh, there's a barcode over there. Yeah. Well, that is excellent. Thank you, Neil. That will come in handy. And now, the last object, which, as usual, is the largest object. I don't even have to guess what this is. It's from Sheds, which means it is a light. It has a 3700 lumen brightness, 50 watts. Okay. But Sheds doesn't make normal lights. They make really cheap stage lights. Although I've been seeing on YouTube that they're also making some that are a little bit less really cheap and horrible that semi-pro lighting people are actually using on stage. So, but I don't think this one is one of those. It identifies as 10 watt DMX. This part number manufactured 2025. Nothing else. Right. Stop stalling, get into it. Let's see what this is. So we have a bracket. We have a manual that I will ignore for the moment. And we have, oh, okay. This is a very different type of light. This looks more like a little projector kind of a light. On the back of it, we have DMX in and out using 3-pin, not standards compliant, but fairly common with cheap lights. There's a little fan with, it looks like it's got a bit of a filter in there. Control panel, menu, up, down, and enter, and a display. This isn't so much a manual as a product brochure for their line of stuff, and it doesn't look like this light is in it. This has got all their bigger lights in it. There is some of the kind of stuff I've been seeing them doing on other channels on YouTube. 300 watt moving head beam light. And the guys that are using them with bands seem to be fairly happy with them. Of course, those are way out of my price range, but hey, if somebody from Sheds is watching, I would love to play with one of these moving head lights of yours. Yeah, some neat stuff. Anyway, none of those are this one. Let's go check the listing and maybe fire it up. Yeah, this video's not that long yet. Maybe we'll fire it up and just give it a quick once over. Mini LED 10 watt disco light 4 or 8 channel RGBW DMX power light, Pinspot beam spotlight, LED backlight, etc., etc. Currently going for $27.58 plus a bunch of shipping. I got it for $25 and free shipping back in June when I ordered it. But yeah, again, this is always changing. There's all the specifications and bragging about it. It has built-in strobe. It's got a 9-degree beam, 4 or 8 channel DMX between 6500 and 7500 Kelvin. Yeah, if it's got colors to it, then sure. 10 watts, 100 to 240 volts, etc., etc., etc. But that's enough about that. Let's plug it in and just make sure it works. And then in a future video, I will do this and just see what's going on inside it. Hopefully it's not too cheesy, although even from this picture I can see a little bit of hot snot in there holding things together. So yeah, well, what do you want for 25 bucks? Okay, I got this thing powered on. I got DMX connected to it, set to address 1. I can also set it to just doing manual colors and stuff like that through here, through this panel on the back, but I'll just set it to DMX address 1 for now. And in Q-Light on my computer here, channel 1, like the other sheds lights I've got, is just a master. Channel 2 is red. It's a really tiny spot that close. Channel 3 is green. Channel 4 is blue. Channel 5 is white. Channel 6, I think, is strobe. I think you can see that strobing there. You can adjust the speed of it. Channel 7 just fades through the colors or switches through the colors automatically, and I'm not sure exactly what 8 does. Looks like it's another strobe. Let me shine it up onto the ceiling. This is about 1.5 meters away. That's a fairly tight spot. So there's the red, there's the green, there's the blue, and there's the white. The one thing I've noticed when I get multiple colors on, notice at the edge there, they're not all aligned. So they haven't paid that much attention to the optics in it. That wouldn't matter if you're using this to light a performance or something, because those edges would be showing on the floor. But if you're using it to spotlight, you know, a picture on the wall or something like that, a single color would be okay. Let's actually get the white up there. Doesn't look super white to my eyes. It looks like the sort of bright white that you'd get from, you know, white LED. It's not high CRI white. But if you did just a single color, and if you're spotlighting something like you said, a mirror ball, that might be okay. And I noted earlier this thing does have a fan on it. It's a little bit loud. I can hear it from, you know, where I am, which is closer than arm's length away, but it's about the same loudness as my 3D printer, which is across the room. You may or may not be able to hear that in the back. Let me just, yeah, like that. So that's not ideal in, you know, a quiet performance space or something like that, but for rock and roll, it's probably just fine. Anyway, let's disconnect that and get all the mailbag stuff out here for the grand finale. And there is the contents of today's Mailbag Monday haul. Quite the variety, some cool surprises, including these capacitors sent by an anonymous donor, and this barcode scanner, and little Disney princess stickers from Neil. Thank you very much to the channel donors. I really appreciate that. I'm going to get some use out of this. These will be handy in stock. Things that I ordered. This multifunction guitar pick. I don't know if that's going to be handy or just a fun novelty. Maybe I'll give it to a friend that plays guitar more than I do. It is a little bit awkward holding it up there to see it, but I don't know. Maybe normally I would hold the pick down further down here, but anyway, it does the job. It makes sound, and it can pick up tuning notes. Then there is this little induction heater, which needs a lot more amperage than my power supply can deliver, so I'll have to find a beefier power supply for that. But that could be interesting to use to work with bending metal or heating fasteners and stuff like that. Bag of XLR connectors. These exact ones here are these ones, just in situ basically. And of course there is the little mini spotlight. It's kind of what I expected for about $25. Might actually have some uses. Maybe I'll hang it up and use it to spotlight my dartboard or something like that. Or maybe I'll pass it on to somebody who does mobile DJ gigs. I don't know. We'll see what happens. In any case, I do like playing with DMX stuff. It is neat to play with. And as I've said before, I used to do a little bit of lighting and sound for bands in dive bars before DMX was commonly used in or outside of like arena scale shows. Everything we were using back then was still analog dimming, so this is neat technology to play with. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to the anonymous donors. Thanks also to the Patreon supporters and the YouTube channel members for helping keep the beer fridge full and helping keep the mailbags rolling in. That's all I got for you today. Again, thanks for watching. I will talk to you later.